Well, hello, and I'm Victor James, and I make tents for a living, but I also make a lot of other things. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes on me talking about tents and fabric and stools and even camp cots. Okay, and so here we are, some of my stock that I sell, which is 4 different types of pegs. Always I sell the tent hooks. These are pole hooks. These are for putting in the tent. Excellent for hanging your bandoliers, your baldric, your coat, a lamp, even a lamp, etc. Obviously for a tent that's got a central pole or a couple of double poles. They are wonderful, wonderful bits of simple kit that is great as an accessory in your tent. I also sell pretty well everything to keep your tent in good order. Of the spare sliders, all the spikes, either in 10mm and 8mm, for replacing long, short, and even longer, etc. All the prices are, you need to talk to me on my Facebook profile, Victor James. I'm the one who looks like me. Also, there is Victor James Limited. That technically is my company name. And if you personally message me or put a note on there, I'll come back to you with prices, what I can do for you, etc. Moving swiftly on, we talk about obviously next to the pole hooks, we have pole shelves. These are once you've got a tent, excellent. As you can see here, I think the camera might be able to get that. They are very stable, a good place to put your car keys, your mobile phone in the evening, so you know where it is, it's up there, it's safe, and the public can't see it. Also, what I've got here, I even sell the tubes. We sell the tent hooks. These are 35Bs, quite amusing. I saw some years ago, a very, very dedicated lady had got some mudlarking finds, and she happily presented how she had spent hours bending new hooks into exactly what you can buy straight from the manufacturers now, a 35B. Excellent for taking 1.5 hours to buy to something that would cost you 50p if you bought it from me. I also even do shorter hooks. These are the 35Bs cut down, and we use them mainly for just the cause, etc., on clothing, on belts. This is quite an interesting thing in the sense that if you've got a pyramid tent, it's getting a bit old, it's starting to open up at the top. Well, that's a nice little saver. I can restitch. I do a lot of tent repairing and restitch the tent up, and then we nail that in, and it spreads the weight of the canvas more, and you'll get more out of your tent. Also, just I'm talking about tenty and therefore camping stuff, I make lots and lots of stools. I have open frame stools, and I have my prop sheet to try and remind me what I'm talking about, and 10 leg stools. These vary in price from £26 up to £42, £44, as you can see. Different linen tops, different coloured tops, sailcloth tops. Also, I make them much higher, wider. So basically, you have to come and try your arse on them to find the one that fits you. Gently moving on, because we are talking about the tentage, and I hope, my apologies for turning my back on the camera. Here we are, tent poles. I make spare tent poles, as well as selling you the bits to make your own. I make up the spare tent poles. We have the square poles for the awnings and corners, and the square and rectangular tents. We use the heavier pole for the for the uprights. I do socketed, mortise socketed. I do shorts that don't go through the canvas. Very, very, very few A-frame tents. In fact, I have found no historic drawings of an A-frame soldier's tent ever with a finial on the ends. Just doesn't happen. People insist, oh, I can't gyro off my the ends of my tent. Well, guess what? You're not supposed to. It just didn't happen. This is a Victorian, well, an Edwardian 20th century invention. Moving on swiftly, or not so, to the various canvases that I have. This is the 14-ounce sailcloth. This is the the fire retardant 12-ounce. I even will happily make up tents if people ask in linen. I also sell the sailcloth and the fire retardant on off the roll. We also, now here's a bone of contention. The Osberg tents, the ship tents. Now this is a scale model I made, having so often tried to explain to various Viking reenactors who think they know better. There's on the 3 Osberg tents frames, every one of them, there is a significantly shorter, I hope the camera can just get that, a significantly shorter on the ridgepole. Therefore, it leans in, forming a triangle. Secondly, and this is taken, every piece of this is taken from the archaeological drawings. Secondly, the holes. They don't match up. So if you have a tent with the hammock style with the laced inside, well, guess what? How are you going to lace it to this one that has no holes in? You explain that one to me. What we can presume, well, what the two things we know is that they all have shorter ridge poles and lean in, forming a triangle that makes it stronger. They also all have, most of them have holes in, but we do not know what those holes are for. They do not match in either of the 3 that have holes in. There's even a strange, that is not a mistake by me. That is how it was made. We think this must have been a replacement pole off another tent to go into the ship tent. This is a scale model. This is 18 foot long, 14 foot wide and 10 foot high. The other thing, the one thing that isn't scale is these. These are far too thick in this model. They would be a third thinner. So they were not made out of massive bulks of timber. And also, it pretty well shows you that it must have been a very lightweight cloth that went over them, because they could not take a heavy woolen or whatever sail, flax, linen sail. It would have snapped him. So, and then the piece de resistance that has been a good seller these last few months are these. These are camp cots from the 18th century. Very popular. These are based on museum artifacts from the American War of Independence, etc. They are, within reason, made to their size. They're excellent. I sell these £60 for the base cot itself, £15 for each end board and headboard. I also make them in smaller. This one has a 6'4" canvas on 6'7" pole on runners, and this one over here is specifically made for some people who want smaller ones. They are shorter people, so it's a 5'6" canvas on a 5'9" pole, which only takes one headboard. Also, you don't have to have that on at all. The problem with these are, or I should point out that the headboards are £15 each. If I didn't mention that already, I cannot remember. The only problem with these is folding them up. As you can see, there's no way for that price, and there's no way that any of this style ever folded other than that. So you obviously need a good length of bed in your horseless carriage for it to be to transport it. But they were quite common. And at that, I believe about 5 minutes is up, and I will return to you shortly and bore you talking about 17th century equipment. Thank you. Hello again, and first of all I'll apologise. It turns out my technical advisor has told me that actually it took more like 10 minutes, the last video I made. I'll try and cut this one down shorter, but don't bet on it. So anyway, just simple stuff I make. Here we are, we've got Norenberg Spectacles. These are the most common cheap spectacles sold by peddlers. Door to door. They're a single strip of dished copper with the lenses already in to different sizes, just like you buy now. And I do these with lenses in to your prescription. If you contact me and talk to me about it, £55. In fact, these are commissions that somebody did a few weeks it asked me to do. These are basically peddlers' sales boxes that are supposed to look a bit like a book. No. These are mid-18th century French. Moving on to some of you be much more interested in is the bang stuff, musketeering stuff. Cheap militia, belt-mounted cartridge boxes. A jabern for mid-18th century French. Musket slings. I even make gun bags that take a proper full-size 18th century musket, easily fit your 1828 pattern French musket or your long lamp pattern. I sell cartridge blocks for people to make up their own leather work. These are lovely little things. These are Dutch style. This is the primer. Of course, you've got to remember that especially on the continent, you've got coarse grain powder to load the gun with. Priming powder was kept separate, finer grain to prime your pan with. These are based on a variety of Dutch illustrations. Here we have what I think is the best little musket tools going. You get two sizes of screwdriver and a Tommy bar. And if you wonder, there's a little hole. Well, it means that if your gun is pinned, you can push your pin out one way a bit. Oops, helps if I get the one that fits that one, and then pull it out. Obviously, I need to know the size of your pin, but for £10, I can assure you these are the nicest little, and they make damn good little chipping hammers. Moving on swiftly, or not so swiftly, to finish off the musketeering stuff. Here we have one of the best cartridge rollers on the market, made specifically, so when you roll it, you twist it, that takes the knot, the hole through it means it doesn't cause a vacuum when you pull it out. You then use a nice little wooden funnel, a nice little wooden scoop, and fill. All available from me. Oh, so much fun over the years. It's a match holder for your slow match. You've got burning slow match in your hand. These are perfectly authentic and in many, many illustrations, and yet hardly anyone ever has them. Hangs off your baldric or your belt. You can put your burning match in it, and it's in a safe place, away from your bandolier and your spare spare powder flask. I think we've done that for all the musketeering stuff. So, thank you very much. Go back, and I have been reminded by my technical advisor, I didn't mention the waiting time for tentage. Well, at the moment, there is basically 1 or 2 weeks. But remember, Torm now is going ahead in June. There are only actually about 10 working weeks to go till Torm. So if you need your tents repairing, please get them out and check them for mice damage. They've been away for a good year and a half, some of them. If you need a new tent, start thinking about it now and you want to come to me. There's only going to be in that time period about 20, 25 tents at the most I'll be able to make. Now, moving on to some of the other stuff I make, let's go for the 17th century. So I really, really do like these. There are only 2 surviving examples of the standard munitions ration pack bag known as a knapzak in Dutch existing. There was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these made. They were throwaway items. They're made of very thin leather, most likely pig skin. And these are a good copy of the 2 existing ones that were found in the archaeological dig of a sunken ship in the Netherlands, in the hinterland, etc. The interesting thing about these is that even the Dutch museum has got wrong misinterpreted how the strap works. There is a famous British drawing of distressed soldier in Ireland, and it's got the knapsack is lying at his feet, and you have all these curly bits coming off. And people have misinterpreted that, or interpreted it, as loads of cords and such like to tie it together. The Dutch, in their description of the 2 bags they have, they refer to, once again, there's a lot of leather ribbons. Luckily, I got hold of the actual archaeological photographs in high quality, and I worked out what it is. It is a solid strap made up of the same thin skin, so it's sewn together. And of course, pigs don't end up 90 inches long, and you need 90 inches at least to make that strap. So it's all bifabricated with joins. Now these were thrown together. The stitching on them is getting on for an inch apart. What you're seeing with all those leather ribbons is actually the 2 layers of leather just peeling apart. So I'm very pleased with making those. They were invariably made in leather, except those that clearly were ordered in sailcloth. This is linen, etc. These are £50 to £60, depending on which one. Each one is made from a full skin. The linen ones, we then move on to leather work. These are based on the Tower Armoury's new model army issue baldricks. The amount of people who don't actually know what a baldric is. I did talk to Baldric, and he didn't know until I explained to him back in the early days in the 1990s at Torm, at Brighton on Dunsmore. Sorry, at where were we? Where did we used to go? Oh, I can't remember now. Anyway, that place near Oxford, and we used to get a lot of the time teaching people. He honestly didn't realise that baldric was a sword belt. Moving on, we have got the more what people accept to be the snapsack.
Hello again.
Bag.
And first of all, I'll apologise. It turns out my technical advisor has told me that actually it took more like 10 minutes the last video I made. I'll try and cut this one down shorter. Don't bet on it.
16th century, the late 16th century, right the way through the 8-Year War, what we will sort of also refer to as the 30-Year War, because the Dutch started 50 years before to avoid the rush with the Germans. Right the way up to 1745, 1746, there's clearly the Edinburgh militia, etc. Some of the lads are carrying exactly the same bag. They're also carrying sac d'ordinaires, they're also carrying little pouches, etc. Now let's move round to here. There's something I think you may have seen. Plague mask, rather pertinent at the moment. There is only, as far as I'm aware, one surviving plague mask in a German museum, and this is the best copy you will see. Yes, it's machine sewn. I can hand sew. Can you take a small mortgage out? All the ones you see that are the leather face nose, that's one drawing, and there is no, then it's been reinterpreted, and there are no surviving examples. This is a very good copy of the surviving example, etc. Good thing about these, if you don't want this, you can put a little flap on it, and you can have it as your prototype First World War gas mask instead. And finally, also there's some musket rests that I enjoy making, etc. These are going to be very limited because I'm going to be running out of the wood and out of the steel. This is wrought iron, over 150 years old, that I am bashing down. And I also, finally, before we finish this one, I have got to point out my best friends. These are my sewing machines. I am so proud to own them. I oil them every day. I feed them, I stroke them, and they work for me. And to finally fill in, just because I make so much stuff, I have made so much stuff over the years that I don't make anymore, but could do. Hey, you've not even seen a Chinese repeating crossbow, but I was the first person back in the 90s to work out how it worked, and I made a batch. They were excellent. But how many people want a Chinese repeating crossbow? So all I'm going to do is slowly stroke this sewing machine as we walk past. This is 1908 and still going strong. This one is 1943, November 1943. And moving on, just to flick through some of the other things I make so many bags in so many different sizes. There's just no point in showing you little gas mask bags. We've got little bags for carrying water bottles on the field. We have every bag going. We have carpet bags. Of course, excellent. These are 18th century Portemans. You can pretty well get all your kit in there, put it in your tent, and it's put, instead of the ubiquitous cricket bag, etc., you've got everything in there, and the public can see it. And last but not least, sac d'ordinaires. French, well, I say French, you see the 15th century drawings of exactly the same, what we would refer to as a paperboy's delivery sack. The most ubiquitous sack, goes on, fills in like that. You can use these, well, in fact, I've sold these to Roman groups who are very happy with them. And as I said earlier on, there is also perfectly being used both by the French and English militias in 1745-46. because we have the pictorial evidence by people you trust when they're drawing things. And I believe that is all I'm going to say for now. Please get in touch with me on my Facebook profile, on Victor James Limited or Victor James. Phone me. I love talking about tents and stuff. I'm a very sad person like that. Thank you. Bye.